Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Ha'irab tawab la atham za'ach yawaman rachado Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam kaya hamalakat hashamayim kwarab. Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call halayim la la abanawa Yahweh bahasham Yahweh shai bahasham rachakodash wa mashana. Laza Aquanium Nawa, Wamala Sharuch Hagadar, which is our praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists, Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, he delivers in double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Zabara Ashiath, this is Genesis chapter 11, and we'll get verse 1, and it says, the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. All right, in which that one language and one speech was talking about the Hebrew, all right, or Halashwan Kwadash, the Holy Tongue. Essentially, the whole earth was speaking Hebrew, all right. Verse 2, it says, and it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Let's get this in the NLT. And it says, Genesis 11:6 NLT, it says, look, he said, the people are united, and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. In which, the Lord, made everyone's ways diverse, so everybody was supposed to be separate. All right. So I'm gonna get this real fast. This is Bon Sirach chapter 33, and we will get verse 10. It says, and all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. And much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse. All right, so essentially, everyone's ways was supposed to be diverse. It wasn't meant, for everyone in any time period, to be all of one people. The Lord made the nations, and everybody's ways are essentially different. All right, continuing on, verse 7, it says, go to, let us go down. All right, in which, the Lord Yahweh, dispatched, the Alahayim, all right, to go down. That's why it says, let us go down. It says, go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. And I want to get this word for confound, because this is where the word babal comes from. It comes from balal, H1101, and it says to mix, to mingle, to confuse, to confound. It says to fodder, to overflow, specifically with oil, by implication to mix. All right, and it says to fade. All right, it says to pour over, to wet, to moisten, to flow as water. All right, so essentially, when we look at the other languages, all right, the derivatives of the Hebrew, because when we look at language, every language is just a derivative of Hebrew. All right, it's just a watered down version of Hebrew. All right, that's why it goes into right here where it says, and there confound their language. But verse 7, it says, go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. It says, so the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. All right, and which, what I mean by watered down in verse 7, all right, the word for example, all right, you got the word for heaven. All right, let's get that real fast. I'll just get this one. All right, the Hebrew word for heaven is shamayam. All right, but right here, all right, as we see right here, it says heaven. All right, and this is a derivative of the Hebrew, Aramaic. All right here it says shamayan. All right, so that serves as an example of a derivative of how the languages was confounded. That's one derivative of Hebrew. Whereas it was supposed to be shamayam. All right, here it's listed as shamayan, in which this precept can be found in Jeremiah 10 and 11, or this word can be found in Jeremiah 10 and 11, Daniel 4 and 11, and so on and so forth. I'm actually go to it. Jeremiah 10 and 11. In the word for heavens, it says Shamayan. All right, and again, that serves as an example, all right, of a derivative of how the languages was confounded, because again, that language was Aramaic, you see, but it's just a derivative or a dialect of Hebrew, But nevertheless, continuing on, Genesis 11 and verse 8, and it says, verse 7, it says, "Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babal, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth." In which, if I can mention, this took place, all right. This portion right here took place during Genesis 10 and let me see, 10 and verse 25. So at a certain point in Genesis 10, Genesis 11 is concurrent with this. All right, in verse 25. All right, I'm sorry, verse 24. Genesis Barashiath chapter 10 and verse 24. And it says, "And Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Ibar." All right, in which Ibar, Eber, that's where the term Hebrew comes from. Eber or Ibar means from the past or the past. Ibar, it says the region beyond. The region beyond. All right, and it also goes into the past, because the Lord, dealt with those that derived from Eber. All right, it says from the other side, from beyond. It says the opposite region. All right, I'm gonna go into this root word, and it says let me go to this root word. It says to pass over. It says to pass over. It says to pass beyond. It says to be passed. All right, this was the lineage, that the Lord was dealing with. It says to cause to pass over. It says to pass through. All right, then it says beyond. All right. So going back, Genesis 10 and verse 25, it says, "And unto Ibar were born two sons, and the name of one was Palag, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Yaquatan." All right, let's get this in the NLT. And it says, "Ibar had two sons. The first was named Palag or Peleg, which means division. For during his lifetime, the people of the world were divided into different language groups. His brother's name was Yaquatan." All right, in which again, this is where Genesis 10 and Genesis 11 happens concurrently during the time of Peleg. Going back to this right here, Genesis 11 and Genesis 11, from the point where the Lord confounded the languages. All right, that was during the time of Ibar. But I want to get some more precepts just going into the language, you see, because the Lord is essentially returning the language back to us. All right, but this is Yashaya, Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 18, and it says, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to the Lord of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction," in which the language of Canaan, all right, was talking about the Hebrew. And then in fact also, all right, the Canaanites, they were known as so-called Phoenicians, so they actually got a dialect, when if we was to look up on Google and we typed in the Paleo Hebrew, a lot of times it'll say the Phoenician alphabet, and that's because it's a derivative of the Hebrew. All right, so let's also get this. This is Tazapanya, Zephaniah chapter 3, and we'll get verse 9. And it says, "For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent." I'm going to read it again. It says, "For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. All right, which is word pure. All right, it's unadulterated, it's unmixed. All right, it's not watered down. All right, as the languages as we once was used to. You see, it's the purest form. All right, of the language. All right, in which I'll get some examples of that. I don't want to. But it says that they may all call upon the name of the Lord, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, to serve him with one consent. All right, in which the most important part of the language, all right, again, all right, is the Lord's name. All right. And it says to serve him with one consent. And which is word for consent, it says shoulder to shoulder. All right, shakam. You see, because shoulder to shoulder, if everybody is shoulder to shoulder, that shows unison. You know, that shows that everyone is united. All right, in which the elect is united. All right, essentially being of one mind. All right, being of one mind. All right, and being of one spirit. You know, but I want to get some examples as to again the unadulterated language. All right, so let me get this. This is the word for Magog, Magawag. All right, and I'm going to the Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon. All right, so it says Magog. It says also of a region, a great powerful people of the same name, inhabiting the extreme recesses of the north, who are at some time to invade the Holy Land, which it goes off there. But it says we are to understand just the same nations as the Greeks, comprised under the name of the Scythians. The Arabs call Yajaj and Majaj, and they have many fables about them. Their king is called Gawag. Skipping down, it says, in the same manner are joined Chin and Machin, i.e. the Chinese. It says the syllable ma in these names denote place, region, has of late been learnedly discussed by Fran de Muse and the other names, but the point that I wanted to get was where it says the syllable ma. All right, so ma is the 13th letter. All right, Bahalashwan Kwadash or Baha Alat Bayath in the Hebrew alphabet. Ba Ga Da Ha Wa Za Cha Ta Ya Ka La Ma Na. Ma is the 13th letter in the Paleo Hebrew alphabet. You know, so it says the syllable ma, showing that all right, all of the characters is essentially going to be ba ga da ha. It's going to have a sound at the end, other than I. All right, I. And yeah, just I. All of the other ones they make a sound, you know. So that shows something that's unadulterated or unmixed. You see, because when you go to words like, even in this paragraph, in this thing right here, you got words like the Arabs. All right, words like about. All right, those are mixed and mingled with different letters. All right, we're not supposed to know how to say the sound of a O or a U. All right, those were created. All right, E's, those were created. All right. What else? Like when they say so-called vowels, all right, E's, U's, O's, you know, we're not supposed to know how to make those sounds because those things are adulterated. You know, they're mixed. They came about at a later time, you know. So, see if I got some more. Back to Isaiah chapter 19 and get this. Get this right here. This is Jeremiah chapter 36. Let me get Isaiah chapter 36 and verse 11. And it says, then said Elikim and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and speak not unto us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. All right, and ultimately, you know, this shows that there was is derivatives of Hebrew. All right, which the Jews' language, of course, all right, goes into the Hebrew. You see, but the Syrian, All right, it goes into, again, it's a derivative, it says Aramya, which that is the language of Aram. All right, and then it goes into the Syriac, all right, the Aramean, you see, but again, it just shows, just wanted to provide some examples as to, the derivatives and stuff that come from the Hebrew. All right, because again, the Lord confounded the languages. All right, so I'm also get this. Let's see. All right, right here it says nop. It says a variation of mop. All right, in which it says of Egyptian origin. So even though like the Egyptians, they used to write in the hieroglyphics. Which that was watered down as well. It was similar to the Halashwan Kwadash. But it still was a derivative. A watered down derivative of the Hebrew, which all languages essentially derive from the Hebrew. But yeah, I just wanted to go into that, because again, at one point, everybody spoke Hebrew. The whole world was speaking Hebrew. All right, which is going to return back to that estate. All right, it's just that right now, for the majority, everybody is speaking these watered down languages. All right, and only the elect is essentially speaking Halashwan Kwadash. All right, first and foremost, using the Lord's name, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. So Adawan Tazah Zabanaya Palo is what does a beautiful edification through the spirit. Wadawan Tazah Atam Yashlay La Tawab, Lord, as well. You have a good night. Washalam Lakam, which is peace unto you all. Shalom, shalom.